guys having
Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Small Business Stories. You know me, you know the voice by now, Dr. LL, your host. And every week we bring you all kinds of cool folks talking about different aspects of entrepreneurship and small business ownership. Today, we've got Larissa Banting of Larissa Banting Publicity. And fun fact, because that's how it starts, you have the little chitter chatter before. Turns out we're both Canadian, Northern Ontario-ish in that range, and we both have a Ukrainian heritage. So look at that. So you never know who you're going to meet. Larissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Loralyn.
And you're not dialed in from Ontario today. Talk to our audience about where you are and a bit about what you do.
Okay, well, I'm actually up in the hills, just west of San Jose, Costa Rica. It's a very different climate than Ontario, and I am a publicist. So I've been in PR since 1993. I actually have my accreditation in PR, so that's like a year-long process, and I still get nightmares from it because it was very intense. But yeah, so the long story short, I was working on a movie of the week as the publicist, and we were shooting it on the Caribbean coast of Costa Rica back in November of 2001, and met this really cute actor on set, and went back to Canada, rewrapped production on December 21st, and I was on a plane back to Costa Rica on January 8th. I didn't have a job. I didn't speak Spanish. I just went with it. And, back in 2002, we were still on fax machines. We had dial-up internet. There was no laptop lifestyle. So I had to pivot because I couldn't be a publicist here at that point. And one thing led to another. We got married on the beach where we met, and I started one of the first wedding planning businesses in Central America. And we were able to grow it to seven figures within 4 years using publicity.
See, this is just it. So many things there. So, and you glossed over it, but you did win an award for The Big Table, which was one of the top 10 Canadian short films of 2001. So let's not gloss over these
Okay.
accomplishments. And then we haven't had a love story before on Small Business Stories, that's what promoted people to get their business moving. So I love that and don't want to gloss over that either, because Costa Rica, that's no small move from Canada.
Yeah, well, it was a really, it was a massive leap of faith, really. People thought I'd lost my mind, to be honest with you. And yeah, I was actually, at that point in 2001, I had won the drama prize, from the National Screen Institute. I was one of five teams that was selected across the country. And so my partner and I produced The Big Table, which was, we shot it in 35 millimeter,
Mm.
back in the days when we still had film. And yes, it was named one of the top 10 short films in Canada that year. And we were actually picked up by Acme, which they were the distributors for the short films that were all shortlisted for the Oscars. So, I had people like, tell me, oh my gosh, I was on a flight the other day and I saw The Big Table. Like, because remember when they used to have
Right.
movies, and then someone else was like, oh, I saw it. They were running it before the main production, like the main feature at the theater the other day. So yeah, I was very much at that point trying to make the transition into more production, as opposed to just, as a unit publicist at that point. And that's when all of this happened with the Costa Rica connection. And it was just one of those, yeah, I mean, I knew Roberto for 6 weeks. And then we just kept a long distance, relationship through phone and email. This is before we had, Zoom or WhatsApp or anything like that. And so it was really a huge leap of faith. And because at that point I was about to move to Toronto I was living in Edmonton. I was about to move back to Toronto and work with CTV network, which is like the largest private network in
Right.
Canada, because the movie of the week that I've been working on was through them. And I garnered like a million lines of PR during production, um, just in Alberta alone. So like they were, and we got, like, I got the two covers of the TV Times when it went to air. And anyway, so it was like everything was being rolled out. Like I had everything set to make this next big leap. And I just basically turned my back on it and said, I'm going to take this really this road that's filled with palm leaves and who knows what, and
Hearts.
and hearts, lots of hearts, and yeah, and just see what how life unfolds. And yeah, so everyone back home was, well, I mean, obviously they were concerned,
Right.
because it seemed like I was making a horrible choice for for my career, but I just had a lot of faith. And yeah, it wasn't easy at first. When I first got here, I was teaching English for like $3 an hour. Because what am I going to do? Like, first of all, Costa Rica does not have a very high hourly wage. And I didn't have the language skills. And there's an opportunity, like I said, to start a wedding planning consultancy, and I did that, and didn't have the money because, again, 2002, there was no social media. You either bought ads in the really glossy wedding magazines, and that you could buy a car for the cost of one ad. I didn't have that kind of money. Or you had Google ads, like that was it. So through a friend, I heard about someone who was starting a PR agency in New York, because back then we were very much in our silos. And I knew the film and television world. I did not know tourism or wedding world PR, like media people. So I hired her. I was like our first client. And because of that, we got, I did a whole junket. I went up to New York City, met with the editors of like Martha Stewart weddings, and was on Martha Stewart Living Radio. I did a 30-minute interview. And then, so that started things rolling. And we ended up being the very first wedding south of Mexico to be featured in a major wedding magazine, which was Modern Bride. And then that just kind of kept things moving. And Destination Weddings and Honeymoons magazine created something called the A List, top 30 wedding planners in the world. And because I had been in the media and they were seeing me in my weddings and all these different magazines, they pegged me, and I was one of the 30. I was the only one in Latin America, and well, outside of Mexico. And honestly, Lauren, do you think I didn't think I was one of the top 30? Because there were some really amazingly talented people out there, but it was the perception because they saw me in the media. So I got that award. That kind of blew the barn doors off the whole business, because now I had legitimacy. Because again, thinking this is like early 2000s, a lot of people couldn't pick Costa Rica out on a map. They thought that, like asking someone to send a couple, yeah, just wire $20,000 for a wedding to Costa Rica. There was some like, oh, are you sure about this? It seems a little bit
Right,
shady.
right.
And but that gave me the authority and legitimacy. And so that following year, we hit seven figures in our business. And I had 14 employees at one point. Yeah.
Incredible. And now, since then, you shifted back to the publicity and helping put others in the spotlight. So, talk to us about that shift, because this is what our audience wants to hear. Very few of us decide, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. My business is going to be X, and I am going to make X widgets all day long and just do X, X, X every single day. But that's not how it works. And I love that I can say process and Z with you, right? It's X, Y, Z. So you might be like, oh, I was making X widget. Oh, now I'm making Y widget. Oh, no, no, Z widgets, right? And hearing, giving people sort of permission almost to understand and to accept that things aren't always going to go the way that you think, and you've got to embrace these new opportunities and be ready to pivot and do these things. But people like hearing about it because not everybody's open about it. It's like yo bros and lambos, yeah, I just hit this and look at me, seven figures, right? We don't talk about all of the nonsense that happened for the 9 years prior. So talk to us, back to you and the question, making that pivot then away now from a seven-figure wedding business to publicity.
Yeah, well, it was interesting because what happened was like we'd moved into this, we bought a property and we had like their office, I had 14 employees, and I was having my only child. And that was in 2000, January 2008. And I was just like, like we had like I remember there's one month we had 13 weddings. And I'm like, at home trying to manage all this because I wasn't going to the office. I was like, feeding a newborn. And I thought, something's got to change, man. I cannot be a mom to all these people. Like, and I'm the type of manager, I'm not a good manager. I admit that because I prefer that people, I just expect people to do their job. I don't want to micromanage, right? I'm just like,
Go
just be,
do, go do, figure it out, be
yeah.
empowered, go.
And there's a different culture here. And it was like a lot of hand holding, a lot of like drama. And like, like I remember calling in to the office and at lunch and no one's picking up. And I'm like, because we had like the office, we had the travel agency and the wedding business. And because this is back before there was Expedia or any of that kind of stuff. So we were doing all the travel. And that was where the real money was because we were getting like 20%, 25%, sometimes 30% commissions, everything except for the flights. So I'm calling and I'm like, so then I'm like, what is going on? Like, someone's got to be answering the phone. So we need to have a schedule so that everyone rotates. Some people take a lunch at 11, some at 12, some at 1. You would have thought I asked them to like give up their puppy. There was tears. And I was like, this is a job. It's not high school. So you know what happened? They quit. So that, yeah, yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
high drama.
very high drama. So it got to the point though. So I was like, you know what? So I put the travel agency up for sale. Now this is 2008. Remember, this is when we had the
Oh, just before the
financial
financial
meltdown,
crisis.
right?
Excellent timing, Larissa. Excellent.
Leave it
Yes.
to me. But you know what happened is I had two people and I sold it for the full off. What I was asking. I was asking 100 grand and I had a bidding war and I sold it for 100 grand. Didn't discount it at all. So, and actually, funny enough, I sold it to Canadian. So we got it running and everything, and they had a manager here looking after it. But you know what happened was just it. I think being absent, it was things were not going as smoothly, and so, anyways, I ended up taking the travel back a couple of years later, and at one point I realized, like there was that tipping point where yes, we're making all this money and we're making all these sales, but you've got these increased costs because you're paying your people and you've got an office and la la la. La. And then, with the change of software over the years, it started becoming apparent. Like, I mean, travel changed completely. And, it wasn't like the old days. So like we saw that side of the business coming down. And then I didn't need to have as many people. And I realized that then COVID hit, shut our business down overnight, 10 months, no weddings. And yeah, so we had gotten out of our lease already because I had a storefront office, and I realized, why am I paying $20,000 a year? Because all my traffic is on the internet. They don't come here. Even if they come to do a site visit, we're going to the vendors. They're not coming into the office. So it was one of those vanity metrics, and I realized I don't need this. And then it was like, you know what? We'll just have everyone work from home. COVID hit. So that, it was just me. And so then after COVID, I mean, it was right before COVID. Actually, it was 2019. I started thinking, no, 2018. I was like, I gotta start thinking long term. I've got my little girl. I'm traveling a lot. Because I'm in San Jose. Everyone wants to get married at the beach. And some of those, like there were some weddings I would be traveling 6 to 8 hours driving because it was like down in the far south and dirt roads crossing, through rivers. And that was really the more that was, I mean, weddings are stressful. And they said wedding planners are having one of the 10 most stressful jobs in the world. But it was for me, it was to travel because that was, mudslides, floods, electricity. Like you mean, I'm going to write a book about it one day because it was just, it'd make, there's a reason why I color my hair. But it was, so I started going like trying, I was like, oh, when chatbots came out. And for some reason, I glommed onto chatbots and I created my first course. And I was going to be the chatbot girl. Right? Like, and then at one point I kind of realized, wait a second. I know I started doing copywriting because I've always was a good copywriter. And then it finally dawned on me because I was still running the wedding business, but I was kind of getting my on off ramp ready. And then I woke up one day, I'm like, Larissa, you idiot. Like you have this accreditation. Like you're there's only a few hundred people in Canada that have attained that. You love PR, you're good at PR. Why are you trying to reinvent the wheel? And I think maybe as an entrepreneur, when you're talking about pivoting and whatnot, I think that maybe we have this wiring where we always have to go after. something new to like, I don't know if it's to prove ourselves. And I think maybe that's why I never thought for 2 years to go back to PR. And so, yeah, and when I finally did, and this was like the time, talk about perfect timing. I created my first course online called Pitch Perfect. It was about teaching how to pitch. I released it the first week of March. Our border shut down March 19 in 2000. This is 2020. So that little course was a self-liquidating offer. So if anyone, I don't people don't know about that, the idea of a self-liquidating offer is that you are running ads to like a $27 like mini course or whatever. And then there's an order bump. In my case, there was a $17 order bump, and then there was a one-time offer on the back end for $97. So that now you've gone from 97 $27 offer to 141. So back then in 2020, it was easy to very different than it is now with ads, but you could pay for your ads. You were self-liquidating your ad costs, but then making money on the back end and creating a list of buyers. So that's what basically kind of saved my family and I during that whole COVID era, because my husband was a caterer.
Mm.
So yeah, both of our businesses shut down overnight, and luckily he's now a private chef for someone. But it was that pivot, you know what I mean? Like having to like move things really quickly so that in June is when I actually opened my agency. And I'd never had an agency before because I was always under contract as a publicist before. So that was a whole new thing, like understanding how to run an agency, how to market myself, how to get that first client, and then hiring, because then we started growing and I had to hire other publicists, to like have enough of a team. So it was a very interesting experience. I mean, I'm still always learning, but I think, and then I sold the wedding business, thankfully, 2 years ago. But I think a lot of people would have maybe crumbled, because a lot of people in the wedding business they didn't make it in 2020. They didn't make it through. And I think being able to pivot and see something instead of freezing, being able to think, okay, this is a situation, what can I pull out of my bag of magic tricks that's going to solve a problem for a portion of the market that I can make this viable and serve them while also like putting food on the table.
But I think that that speaks to another problem. I have it. I know a lot of other entrepreneurs that have it. It's that ADHD squirrel, right? Mentality where like, and the intention of wanting to solve problems, where it's all about that. And it's like, I found it. I must solve this. I must go over here in this direction and solve this problem. No, I've almost solved that. It's getting boring now. I must go solve this problem. And then we go against our grain, or what the metrics tell us. Hey, you're a rock star in this, just do this every day, all day long. But oh, that's so rote, right? Why bother? I'd rather do this crazy challenge, this crazy challenge. And then we get pulled into 1,000 different directions and accomplish a lot of little things, but not hit the big thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, oh my God, like you're speaking to the choir here. And that has been like the last 2 years, I have been reining myself in because it's like, oh, nope, nope, nope. Is that offer going to serve us or no? So, and I finally feel like I have really narrowed it down, and it's like I've cut out all the noise. It's like these are the offers. This is the only thing I'm going to focus on, and just dial it in and make it as like every iteration of it is going to just be better and better, as opposed to the squirrel. Oh, I'm going to do this new shiny thing. I'm going to do this new shiny thing. So you end up becoming a master of all, jack of all trades, master of none, because you haven't put in that 10,000 hours on that particular offer. And I think because as entrepreneurs, we're like, oh yeah, but I'm so good at this. I've already put in my 10,000 hours as a master. But we forget that that offer that we're doing could be a course or a summit or whatever it is. The more you run it, the more there's that 1%. If you can, every time you run it, if you can just 1% improvement, I mean, that's where the magic really happens. But it's hard for that squirrel brain to be able to see that because it feels like, oh, this is too easy. Well, no, it's actually harder to
Right.
really dig down and see, okay, where's that little bit? Maybe, I don't know. I think because I was a professional dancer before.
Oh, you've
Um,
done many things.
I've
I
done
love
many
that too.
things.
Right. Again, but this is part of the fun where you just tease it out and it's like, oh, I'll just throw that in there. Yes. I've won, film awards. Oh, and I danced with the Toronto Ballet. Yeah. I mean, right? Okay, Larissa, keep doing, keep going. But
Okay, yeah, no, it's I know. My daughter always jokes that I'm like Barbie. She's like, Mom, what haven't you done? I mean, at one point I did puppet shows for the government. So yeah, that was fun. Anyways, nothing a little propaganda for the school kids. So
why not? They got to get it somewhere, right?
right, yeah. But I think because of like having been a dancer is like every time you're in the studio, it is every time you're looking for those micro improvements. And I always said if I wasn't getting a correction, there was something wrong, right? Because you're never perfect. And I've started horseback riding because my daughter was a competitive jumper and I was always I'm like so finally I'm like I've always loved horses. Maybe I should try riding a horse. And so now I'm at that point where I'm starting to like learn dressage.
Mm.
And it's the same thing. It's like to the outside, it might look super boring. And like my daughter doesn't want to do it. She hates dressage because it's too boring. But when you start stripping away and really drilling down and going deep as opposed to wide, that's where the excitement happens because it's like a Rubik's cube. It's like, okay, I need to get more bend. So how am I going to do that? And then when you unlock it, it's like next level, you know? And that I think if more entrepreneurs thought about that key, I think it's like the secret. Go deep, don't go wide, because I think that will, it's like, yeah, all of a sudden you're going to have a complete Rubik's Cube instead of having like all the different colors all over the place and getting nowhere.
And this has been the thing that I've been plagued with, even during my PhD, which is supposed to be 1 mile deep. Well, my professor wasn't there to support me, so I had to go form all these collaborations with these other universities and other professors. So I submitted my thesis as a collection of
Right.
research projects rather than 1 mile deep. And it's just been the same ever since. All these wonderful business partnerships, people, oh, Loralyn, let's do this together. Yes, that sounds fabulous. And then it's this and this and this. And believe it or not, I have spent the entire of 2025, the entirety of the year, trying to distill it down. So I've eliminated some things, closed some businesses and stuff, all of that kind of thing toward that vision of being able to focus on one thing, but it hasn't happened yet. I'm still scattered and I'm still trying to. So in 2026, my goal is because I can't sustain this, I've really got to whittle it down. So I'm putting things into motion to try to make more of that happen.
And I think, and then that's the thing, Marlene, we're so, I think as entrepreneurs, like our first instinct is say yes, right? Because
Right.
that's where the opportunity is. Yes, I'll do this partnership. Yes, I'll do this thing. But what I've come to realize is really the no's. Because when you say no, you open up more space for more
Yes.
things to happen. Because otherwise, like you said, yeah, you're scattered. Like and you can't, you're juggling all these balls. So that's one thing I've been really struggling with. And I catch myself continuously like, oh, what if I'm like, no, 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 no. And so what I've been doing, like for 2026, I have it very, like I'm doing 2 summits a year. I'm doing two 30-day sprints to get my people through doing their own PR. And that's it. Everything else is, I know my evergreen, I'm creating a quiz, which is going to be the evergreen, just bringing building the list. Because again, I was like, that's a start and stop. Because without the evergreen, it's like you don't have the gas in the tank.
That's right.
So I think like for me, that's the one thing I've really realized is like that is paramount, I think, to having success is having that it's boring, right? Like, oh well, how exciting is that? But you have to always go in and that's the thing with ads is you've always got to be micromanaging, especially apparently with the new algorithm change. They're
Uh,
saying that you need to have, was it you need to be feeding like anywhere from 5 to 10 um options and you should be changing it out every like 2 weeks. So, I mean, okay, squirrel brain, there you go.
Right. Well, but it's also difficult because then you start to want to fight the AI, and the AI is like, well, I'm going to come up with better combinations and things. And then we all look at it and say, but this is my lane. And no, AI, you didn't quite get that right. Let me change this. Let me change this. But then what we're doing is frigging up the AI, which is supposedly the all knowing and can get it done right. And then we interfere with that process, and then nothing quite works. And so we're not satisfied because it's not exactly the language and how we want to be positioned, the way we see our business, but then it's not exactly what the ad trollers want to see. So it doesn't exactly hit, right? And then in the problem with this whole new level of technology is that there's a level of precision that's essential. Otherwise, it just doesn't map.
Yes. And I think a lot of people are getting nervous. Well, or you know, was it something I was reading the other day that they're saying the whole entry, like white collar entry level jobs are about to just disappear in the next 1 to 5 years. Um, but I think the more it was like the more that we go towards I think the more people are going to be craving that human interaction, like real, like right, they're saying right now that there's a the trust economy. Like what is the biggest deficit that people are seeing is trust, right?
Yes.
Because fake videos, was that by AI or not? Fake photos, fake, emails, whatever, fake stories. So I think that's where I'm really kind of planting my flag is on the trust economy. And with the AI search now, the new algorithm search, I mean, for publicists, it's a heyday because the AI is looking for third-party recommendations. So that's being in podcasts. It's scraping the transcripts from podcasts. It's looking media releases because a media release will get you out on like hundreds of media sites. They're looking like, are you being cited in not just like the top outlets like Forbes and Success, et cetera, but those micro niche publications as the expert for that particular subject matter. So that's I mean, the old SEO, I always say, think about it like Mean Girls. You remember the movie? So the old Google SEO is like Regina George. So, looking for the plastics, hey, you can't sit with us. Like the old was rewarding who was popular, how many backlinks did you have? Like were you saying the right things? Were you connected to like the more popular outlets? So if you wanted to get on page one, you had to play Regina's game. And now, as the way I'm explaining to people is think about like, when was it not Katie? Katie, yes, when Katie came along, she the mathletes and whatever. It wasn't about being popular. It was like who's real, who's the expert, who is going to bring the knowledge. So that's why how I kind of explain it to people is like this new AI algorithm that we're in for the search is the Katie's. So that's where you need to be. And that also feeds into the trust economy. When people see you in third party, where you're not buying your way in, we're not talking Forbes Council or anything like that, you're actually being cited as someone who's in the know. That's going to help not only with the search, but also people feeling that you're credible and that you have that real authority. You didn't just go and spend a few $1,000s to buy it off the shelf.
That's right. And that's the whole thing. It's shifting with the AI and the new engines and the way they crawl. We're shifting from SEO, right? That search engine optimization to GEO. So it's the global engine optimization to look at the picture of us or our companies in totality. And that's a huge shift. I could talk to you forever, Larissa, but our audience listeners are always saying, well, okay, keep it short so I can get it done on my commute and listen or whatever else. So
Yeah.
what advice do you want to wrap the show with for the small business owners and entrepreneurs out there who are listening?
One thing, I mean, obviously, I'm maybe a little bit biased, but I really feel that every business owner should start tapping into the power of free publicity. I think a lot of people, it's kind of like the redheaded stepchild of the marketing world. They don't quite understand it, but it is going to, like, especially now with everything going on with AI, you can't sit on the sidelines. That means like get yourself on podcasts. Like that is the easiest way to get started in the media world. Don't wait until, oh, well, I'm going to wait till I get my first six figures or my 10th six figures, whatever. No, there is literally 4 million podcasts in the world right now. There's a micro niche and a show that needs to hear what you have to offer. So just get started, like make a list of where are your people, where are they hanging out, what are they listening to, and get yourself onto those shows. Don't try and go, oh, I want to get on Joe Rogan, I want to get onto like Entrepreneur on Fire
Diary of a CEO, my
or
favorite.
Diary. Yeah.
Shout out, but not
Um,
happening. Yeah.
but which is wonderful, but those are like trying to go shrimp fishing in the entire ocean. You want to go fishing where the shrimp are. And that's where those really micro, like the targeted podcasts like yours, right?
Like
Because
mine, like
targeted
small
on
business stories.
exactly. That's where the needle moves. And I have seen it with my clients. They'll get on those big, like, the big podcast is great. It's like an ego boost. But where they'll get 1,000 subscribers in a week and then sell like 5 figures worth of a $400 course 2 weeks later is on a micro targeted podcast with a really specific audience. So, don't discount the power of micro niching down. But just do it. Like Nike says, send out that pitch, try and get yourself out there. No, there's no one going to play gotcha. There's no one saying you have to be this high to get on the ride. Everyone is at a different spot on their journey, and everyone has a story to share and something worthwhile to share. So please don't let those golden nuggets of your knowledge and your experience stay hidden. Get out there and start just, if people don't know where you are, you can't help them.
That's right. That's exactly it. I know I'd like to be on more shows. I could do that, but then I've got a lot going on here having guests on my show. So it's hard to have it both ways, but it's the fun of what podcasting is. And we are in season 5 now, over 250 episodes. And for all the people that, like you said, think, oh, yeah, I'll just spend a bunch of money, dump it, increase downloads. It doesn't work that way. It takes time. You got to do the work. And to quote Coach Tony Robbins, who's all about businesses and what you do, the riches are in the niches. If you spread too thin, too general, no one knows what you are or who you do it for and what you do. And so you gotta niche it down. So last question. Well, actually, second last question. Larissa, where can folks find you? We know Costa Rica, but how do they get in touch with you? How can we find you online?
Well, it's pretty easy. I am the only Larissa Banting in the world. Very small family. So my website is larissabanting.com.
Easy peasy. And of course, we'll have that link in the notes for anybody that can't spell that. But now we'll move into our signature question to close the show. If we got a look into that Costa Rica closet of yours, and there was a pair of footwear that embodied you, your personality, everything you are and represents who you are, makes you feel fabulous, what are we looking at? Describe those shoes or boots or whatever they are, flip-flops, since you're on the beach, to us.
Okay. I am a huge fan of John Fluevog, who is a Canadian designer out of the West Coast, and his shoes are so whimsical and colorful and just eye-popping. And I love a good shoe. And I love John Fluevog because they are comfortable, but they're also one of a kind. Like you're not going to see the chances of you walking down the street and seeing the same shoe are like next to nothing, like not going to happen.
Oh, I love it. So, with that, here we are, another episode of Small Business Stories, all set, ready to go, published and in front of our audience. We want to say thank you very much to Larissa Banting of Larissa Banting Publishing, talking to us about how you get out there and get noticed. Because, as I say at Steeris, invisible brands don't make money. Thank you, Larissa.
Thank you so much.